Well, I also asked them to actually say something about this whole thing, so to share with you a few quotes from the students. So, because I always like to hear what they actually think. When I was thinking about a problem later on, I could think back and say, oh yeah, like the clicker question in class. This makes me happy because it makes me, I think the students are realizing there's a connection here. This question's like that one, I should pay attention. And if I got it wrong, it motivated me to look up the answer. I was really disappointed if I got a review clicker question wrong. It meant that I obviously needed to read the question more carefully, that's interesting, or learn that I did not.
That's fair.
I think
That's
that's
like
good. This is very important.
I'll sit back and learn.
Yeah, they sometimes do not read the question, so you never know how much that's playing into this information. And this one just straight out said it motivates me to go back and study more. Some students also did not reflect this kind of motivation, but I really liked what they said anyway, because what they said was very interesting. So I was not really motivated to study if I got the question wrong, because I was going to go back and study everything before the test anyway. Great! I'm so glad! You know, I don't have any problem with that. So they weren't necessarily motivated by the clicker questions, but they were going to study anyway. So of course you're going to have students that study hard no matter what. And then I really like this one too. So this person says the incorrect questions didn't motivate me to study, but discussing the right answer with my peer and understanding it was usually enough for me. So again, this person is reflecting on the importance of the peer discussion and talking about these answers with their neighbors. And these are students who don't like science for the most part. These are students who are kind of scared of this class and a little bit intimidated by my approach. Even though I try to be friendly, you know, they're like blown away by all the terminology and all the things they have to think about. But they get into it. They get into the point where they actually want to do well, even though they don't necessarily remember what we've talked about. The only other difference that I could see was the few people who didn't come to class on a regular basis did in fact perform worse on these questions that were on the exams than did the students who came to class. And, you know, there's not a very large sample size here. I usually have relatively good attendance, so only 13 people came to less than 60% of the classes. Those people did, in fact, perform worse on those 12 retention questions. But they didn't have them, you know, they didn't have, time on task was obviously different because they weren't in class, but there is a difference there. Yeah.
Did they also perform, sorry.
I think you had your hand up first.
Did they also perform worse on the rest of the questions that weren't isomorphic or something?
I didn't look at their overall exam performance. That's a good thing to look at. I just picked out these 12 questions and analyzed them.
And I'm wondering if you're posting your Q3s.
Yeah, I post everything. Yep.
So they have them studied.
Yep.
So
I
these
post all the
students
clicker
in
questions
schools
and all the
could have seen
answers. Yeah. And I have problem sets for this class, and I post all the answers. I mean, they have a lot of material to review if they want to for the test. Yeah, they have access to all the correct answers.
But Q3 is not done with peer instruction.
Q3 is simply individual vote. What do you know at the beginning of this class period that we talked about from the last class period?
Did you see any difference if they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors?
There are small differences between so most of the class is freshman and sophomore. There are some juniors and seniors. The class is not very large to start with, it's between 60 and 70 people on any given semester. And so there's a small sample size to look at if you look at just the juniors and seniors. The juniors and seniors do tend to actually perform a little bit better in the class overall than do the freshmen and sophomores. But like I said, the sample size is very small, but there is a difference between those students. And I guess that doesn't surprise me terribly. They're more sophisticated. I think even if they haven't taken any science those 3 years of college, especially given what Mike was saying about logic, just applying the general rules of learning to the situation, I think the juniors and seniors have a better chance of success than do the freshmen and sophomore. But I didn't look, for that distribution, I didn't look at anything in this
Even
study.
if you just compare the freshmen and the sophomores,
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what kind of a difference.
Yeah, I
I
haven't
would guess you
looked.
would definitely see that.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that.
Got the data. Just their attitudes towards learning, motivation.
So,
Their attitudes are different. I do know that their attitudes are different, that the juniors and seniors tend to be more motivated and more interested.
so we can pencil you in for the results on development.
Yeah, sure. I haven't planned what I'm doing in development next year, so I may just be repeating this.
Just ask these same questions at the beginning of the course and see if they remember it.
Well, that's actually a very interesting idea, is to take sort of some basic concepts that students should have been exposed to early on in their career as biology majors, and then ask them at the end, at the senior level, and say, what do you remember?
That's the thing that's so missing from the structure of a university education is assessing students' really long-term
Yeah,
retention
right.
from year to year.
Yes. For
sure.
It's not set up to do that.
Yes,
It wouldn't be in the best interest of the university.
No.
So are LAs used in any of these classes?
Yeah, I've got 3 LAs in this class. And there were LAs in the genetics, the major genetics
There are
class as
LAs in
well.
both classes?
Yeah, yeah. And so in my class, what the LAs do is they run every Friday class period, and they do activities, problem-solving activities for the whole class period. I'm not there. It's all run by the LAs.
See, a little important detail in my opinion.
Yeah, none of this would have worked.
Of course not! I definitely think that's a very important component of the class, how it impacts learning and retention. I didn't measure, because I don't have a way to compare it, because I
It
don't
doesn't
have,
matter either, anyway.
don't have this class taught in a different way, so, yeah.
Awesome.
Other questions? I think we're out of time, but.